Howdy folks, this is Checkers back again with something new this time, a game called Folktale. And I guess since we're in the swing of E3, I thought I would take a look at a game, maybe a few games that I'm really particularly interested in, really curious to see how they evolve and what they become. Folktale has been around for a while now. I think I picked this up back in 2013. It's been in early access since then, and it's had kind of a strange journey. It's gotten knocked about a bit because of it, but I feel like I should explain that because it's actually pretty cool when you think about it. So the developers, Games Foundry, made Folktale and put it out on early access, and it was amazing. And the only problem with it was that it was sort of built on rails. You wanted to do more with it. It was sort of a theme park, but everyone, many folks anyway, myself included, wanted it to be a sandbox. And Games Foundry said, well, okay, if that's what you want, that's what we'll do. And they basically turned their production at least 90 degrees and turned Folktale from a theme park to a sandbox. And they are incredibly active in their forums on Steam, and they're very, active within the game itself. I think there has been a lot of detracting from the game because it's taken so long, but you do not shift momentum on something like that in a heartbeat. It doesn't change overnight. I guess I'm older, I'm used to waiting a very long time for games, so it doesn't bother me as much, and I saw how wonderful the game looked to become, and even how wonderful it was, and more recently I've seen that it's really starting to show that promise now. So I thought we would take a look at it together, and we are on an experimental build, 0.3.24.2 for Windows, and I should mention I'm not being paid by the developers or anything. This is just a game that I really enjoy and wanted to share with you guys. So let's go ahead and go to New Game and Tutorial, and we'll take a look at it together. I even like the little commentary down here with the weaving nav scarf, making it bigger on the inside, counting from 1 to infinity. Sacred 2 did that too, which is another game that I love. But anyway, on to Folktale. Okay, this really deserves to be read in a great British accent. I don't know that I could do that without butchering it, so I think we're just going to go with me. This is a story of a guy called Bob. It could easily have been about Bob's sister Gertrude, but instead she was in the next room shooting people in the face and screaming a lot. Bob was an intrepid village builder. Some might argue a control freak with a desire to boss about little people while they did his bidding. Nevertheless, Bob was eager to learn. Like all omnipotent gods, Bob needed to move freely over the land, otherwise he'd be stuck looking at the same piece of sodden grass for a very, very long time. The edges of the screen seemed like a fine place to explore with the mouse pointer, the physical embodiment of all that was Bob. Bob also had a hand, a mighty hand that could click and hold things down, like the mouse that lived on his desk. It wasn't long before Bob learned to hold down the middle mouse button and drag his mouse to pan the camera. Pushing buttons was soon to become Bob's forte. Holding down left Alt while moving the mouse along the desk led to a rather astonishing discovery. Bob could rotate the world. The previous evening, Bob had been loitering in a local tavern when he overheard chatter of a mystical cog on the top bar, a cog so powerful it contained the very means by which to change how the world itself was viewed. Eyesight could be improved, ears made more sensitive, and even Bob's mouse could be tweaked. Exciting stuff, thought Bob, maybe something to explore later. It was time for Bob's first epiphany. There would be many that day, too many for a lesser god to process, but Bob was no ordinary god. Bob was smart. Bob would cope. This was not the day that Bob would rage quit. Clicking the left mouse button on a villager caused something peculiar to happen. Villagers would say something, as if waiting for a divine command. Spurred on by his discovery, Bob right-clicked the ground a short distance away.
On my way.
Lo and behold, the villagers started running. Now, if only Bob could get the villagers to do something useful, like foraging for berries or chopping down trees. That truly would be remarkable.
Ta-ta.
Okay, let's see.
What now? Really?
Yes, my dear. Right
And
away.
we'll get them working.
How can I help?
Oh, I don't know, chop a tree.
Okay.
So our goal is to forage 10 berries and chop 25 wood. More villagers would need roping in to help. Holding down the left button and dragging the mouse, Bob drew a selection box that selected all subjects caught within. Bob's cup was overflowing with this sort of self-initiative, the kind that would no doubt land the villagers in grave peril. Well, we got our 10 berries. Still need 25 planks. By now you might be thinking this is your kind of average economic simulator or town builder or even RTS, but it actually has a thread of ARPG in it as well. In other words, you can have heroes, they can go explore dungeons, and they can gain treasure and loot. Not only that, the loot can be used on your villagers, so your villagers can become soldiers, but also the butcher could have like an extremely cool knife or cleaver or some such thing. So lots of interesting interplay between a kind of, you know, I wouldn't say necessarily as deep as something like Diablo, but between this ARPG side and the economic simulation side. Having observed the lazy villagers take forever to perform even the simplest of tasks, Bob was determined to find a faster route to achieving world domination. Perhaps if a villager dedicated themselves to woodcutting, in time they would become better at it. They'd need somewhere to work from, and a woodcutter's hut seemed like just the place. Unusually, Bob had studied the manual before starting, and knew that the woodcutter's hut could be found by pressing the hammer icon in the center of the top bar. Buildings were organized into basic, military, and advanced. Such a simple thing as chopping wood could be found under the basic group, no doubt with the big axe on it. Okay. But why did the hut change color from green to red as it moved across the landscape? That was a good question, thought Bob in a self-congratulatory way. Perhaps red indicated something was blocking construction and that green meant all was well again. And you can rotate with the middle mouse button, the wheel. It all seems so obvious with hindsight, as did right-clicking to cancel construction. And we will build our woodcutter's hut. It looks like it has a radius, so we would probably want to place it around a fair amount of wood. Can we fit it like right in there? I think we might be able to. And right there. Okay. But we probably need to get one of our woodcutters. Let's let him drop off his wood over here, and then have him construct. Actually, it looks like they're both running over to construct. Awesome. And here comes our woodcutter's hut.
Construction completed.
Okay, so Bob took a moment to admire the new woodcutter's hut. It was a fine achievement, something to be really proud of. Now, if only Bob could find a way to train a few woodcutters. Train 2 woodcutters. Alrighty, well, we've still got one, so let's right-click on the hut, and off he goes. Okay. I think this one's still going for berries. This... Oh, here's our other woodcutter.
Yes, Petal.
Okay, and
Be right there,
let's
darling.
right-click on the hut with her. And here is our other woodcutter. He's changed clothing as well.
Yes, my dear.
as has Mary Dribbleswick. Thanks to Bob's leadership, woodcutters could now chop down trees, making planks for construction and firewood for warmth. The peasants were pleased, mostly because they no longer had to do it. Bob was rewarded with 75 planks for a job well done. Safe with the knowledge of at least one way of training professions, and that woodcutters would replant seedlings for sustainable forestry, Bob was filled with confidence to try something new. Bob wanted more followers, edging slowly but surely towards becoming a control freak. Building cottages for his little people to live in seemed like a positive move. An even better idea would be to build the cottages close to the Woodcutters Hut, so peasants wouldn't have to carry firewood so far. And we need to build 2 huts. 2 cottages. Oops, wrong button. Can't take Bob anywhere. Okay, cottage. And let's see. There's some cut trees here. I wonder, just right there, looks like. Oh, here we go. And cottage 1. And oh, let's say, let's face the fire though. Cottage 2. And here come our cottages.
Building completed.
Huzzah! And off our minions go to construct more. And our woodcutters are doing their job fabulously as well.
New villagers have arrived.
Oh, here we go. 5 of 5. So we got 1 more. Oh yeah, already working.
Construction completed.
Noticing the numbers on the top bar next to the chubby villager face, Bob immediately recognized the first number to be the current population. With brain cogs now whirring almost uncontrollably, Bob deduced that the second number must surely be housing capacity, as each newly constructed cottage caused it to be increased by 5. "I'm impressed, Bob," said the imaginary voice speaking inside his head. "Clearly you are meant for great things." Bob smiled.
Real man has a beard.
But only a little. "Now, Bob, if you want to attract new folks, you need to make this a happy place," continued the voice. Bob knew just where to look and opened the civics
Our village
menu
has attracted new settlers.
by left-clicking on the weighing scales icon in the top bar. Wow, so many widgets and tabs. It was almost overwhelming. Bob regained composure and soon figured out that villagers had needs, and failing to meet those needs would have dire consequences. Bob had acquired the power to ration subjects, controlling their greed during times of trouble. "I could also be generous," thought Bob.
Settlers have arrived looking for a fresh start.
Surely that would make the needy sods happier? Indeed it would, Bob. But the stores would be empty pretty fast, so let's not go there, replied the imaginary voice of reason. To help Bob out, things would flash from time to time. Yellow warned that Bob was heading for trouble, while red meant there was a problem requiring immediate attention. Meh, I'm not bothered about this, thought Bob. In time, Bob would learn this to be a moment of exceedingly poor judgment, as the villagers rebelled and burned all his hard work to the ground. "Ooh, taxes," proclaimed Bob, as he grinned with glee at the thought of coffers brimming with gold. "I could fund research, construction, and crafting. If only I had more gold. Let's tax the..." howled Bob, without a moment's thought to how it might impact happiness. Bob was eager to learn when the next gold-laden villagers would arrive, and clicked frantically to the second tab. Bob had discovered the population progress bar. Green must mean villagers were closer to arriving, red, growing unhappiness and the chance of rebellion and villager departures. Perhaps Bob was meant to tweak rationing and taxation until the green bar was growing. Of course, that would only happen if there were enough cottages and housing capacity. Otherwise, the bar would remain a rather dull and lifeless gray. Not wishing to miss out on any knowledge, Bob clicked the final tab. Ah, this looked like an overview of my village, thought Bob. A list of buildings, current research, and yet another means of training professionals. There were even icon buttons that allowed Bob to inspect individual buildings before returning to the list. This was a welcome addition indeed, and somehow felt familiar. Close the civics dialogue. Okay. With coffers slowly filling with the trickle of coin, Bob was keen to put this newfound wealth to work. Left-clicking on the Woodcutters Hut presented 4 icons, the first of which would open the building dialogue, allowing Bob to delve deeper into the inner workings of the building. Continue. The Workers tab was split into 2 panels. On the left, the current vacancies. If Bob had been a good pupil, 2 of the vacancies would now be filled with woodcutters, with 2 further vacancies available to be filled. Workers could be selected by left-clicking their portrait and either demoted or found by clicking the buttons below. Okay. I don't think we want to demote anyone. How about Frederick de Montfort?
Ow! Splinters?
Uh-oh. Somebody got splinters. To the right were Bob's available peasants. Oh, maybe if we click this, we can then find that person. Gotcha. To the right were Bob's available peasants. Clicking the plus sign would instruct the peasant to head to the building for training. Having discovered yet another way to train peasants, Bob's mind was blown. Continue. Following a short trip to the local hospital to have the pieces of brain reassembled, Bob returned to spot an option for enabling auto-recruit. Checking it would cause all available vacancies to be filled as soon as peasants became available. Over yonder, Bob awoke to find himself back in hospital. After a good rest, it was time to click the next tab. The production tab looked awfully daunting, but in reality, this was old and would soon be replaced. The only parts that mattered were the checkboxes for enabling building outputs. For the woodcutter, this meant focusing production effort into producing logs, firewood, or both. Interesting. This was more like it, thought Bob after clicking the research tab. Spending gold on research could improve buildings, make workers more efficient, and unlock crafting recipes. It all looked worryingly expensive. Luck was with Bob. At that very moment, a rich benefactor stepped forward and donated enough gold to be able to begin researching sawmilling. Fortuitous timing indeed. Okay. Research would only progress with 1 or more workers assigned to the building. More workers would complete the research task in less time. Okay. There's a little, like, clock progress there. I guess we could recruit Frederick de Montfort there and come back and see if that kicks the speed up. It certainly looks like it did. And night falls once more over the village of Bob. Oh, there's also a completion thing over here in the quest. Log. When research completed, it was removed from the list and moved to the top right of the tab. Hovering the mouse pointer over the small icons would provide details of what research had been completed so far. Sawmilling speeds up the production of planks, increases production of plank by 5. Research completed in one hut would benefit any current or future woodcutter huts and workers. Comfortable with how it all worked, Bob proceeded to click on the Upgrades tab. Although it was far too early to upgrade the Woodcutters Hut, it was important for Bob to know that it was possible. Upgrade to Tier 2. Upgrading the building to Tier 2 will support 4 more workers, grant access to more advanced research, and reduce fire risk by 50%. And it looks like it requires 200 of this culture 300 gold, 400 wood, and 200... I'm guessing that's stone. Okay. Upgrading buildings would support more workers, unlock further research, and reduce the risk of fire. Upgrades would become available when the culture score passed the stated level and Bob had the required resources available. Bob clicked onto the crafting tab. Buildings such as the blacksmith had far more crafting options. The Woodcutters Hut had just one, the conversion of planks to firewood. This didn't seem particularly useful when all was well in the village. Bob was a wise leader, though, possessing the foresight that if firewood stocks were to run out, being able to chop up planks would provide welcome relief against the cold, and most certainly help prevent a catastrophe. Rebelling peasants with burning torches, a compulsion toward arson, and the availability of thatched roofs sprang to mind. Shaking the image out of his head, Bob clicked on the Equipment tab. Equipment stores helped ease the management burden from Bob's broad shoulders. Rather than equipping each worker individually, Bob could open the Master Inventory panel and simply drag gear into the Equipment Store tab. Workers would automatically equip the best gear available. Oh, that's interesting. There was nothing Bob hated more than choresome micromanagement. He was mildly pleased that someone hidden away in a back room sat huddled over a box pushing buttons had thought this through. By now, Bob was growing impatient, yearning to return to construction and adventure. It was time to leave the bean counting behind. So what this means basically is we have an inventory, and as I said, we could have heroes that would go out and get things that, you know, they might get a great axe for one of our woodcutters. We could drag it in here, and then the woodcutters would go to pick up whatever the best object there was from the stash. I think, if I understand that right. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's do that and do that. It was all going rather well, but villagers would only put up with eating berries for so long. A little variety wouldn't go amiss and would improve villager happiness. It was high time Bob imparted some of his divine wisdom by providing the good folk with knowledge of farming, starting a windmill. Okay, and let's see, windmill. Trains farmers and produces flour and carrots. Flour can later be used by the bakery, while carrots can be eaten by villagers, satisfying the need for food. Windmills and farmers' fields should be placed close to each other. So we need probably a fairly large space, and this looks to be a fairly large space. Actually, maybe we can sidle it right up to that tree. So we need to build a windmill and train a farmer.
What now?
Well, Benedict Longbottom, I think you're about to become a farmer.
Building completed.
Really?
Yep, really. Okay. Now build 3 farmers' fields. While surely a grand feat of architecture and construction, a windmill without wheat fields was about as useful as a grave robber at a crematorium. Bob set about organizing his underlings to construct several wheat fields. Without being prompted, Bob built the fields close to the windmill. Trying to do otherwise would be folly, as the lazy farmers would simply turn a blind eye rather than walk all that way. Okay, so our windmill did have a radius. So let's see about building some fields within that radius. So we need to build 3. There's 1.
A building has been constructed.
2. And 3. And our happy little
Construction
peasants
complete.
are just running all about to build. And I believe we can actually change what they grow. Carrots, wheat. Though I think there are other,
has been
like
constructed.
here's a cotton field and herb field. Oops, time to pay attention again. Wheat didn't just magically appear. It would take time to grow, and unless Bob expected the villagers to eat flour, which quite frankly sounded revolting, there was just enough time to build a bakery. Okay, so is a bakery here, or would it be in the, not military, but advanced? Bakery trains bakers and bakes flour from the windmill and water from the well, not implemented, into bread, which can be eaten by villagers, satisfying the need for food. Okay, so bakery. Let's put the bakery... I mean, we could put it here, but we're bunching up a little too much. Where's the door on the bakery? Here it is. We'll turn towards our ostensible city center there.
The ladies love a man with a big chopper.
Building completed.
And Josephine Dribbleswick, come on down. You're the first contestant on The Baker is Right. And now we need to bake some bread. I'm guessing that she's going to do that all on her lonesome once there is some ground up wheat. Maybe we should train another farmer.
Yes, my dear.
And she's standing here. So Mary Merriweather,
Be right there,
why
darling.
don't you be a farmer? This wheat field sure looks good. Oh, it's got a percentage on it. That's cool. 75, 3, and 40. And you can literally see them growing. $86. And so they also go, like, your peasants will go and get food to eat, and if you watch them, they'll go and take firewood back home. Fun stuff. 98, 99, and 100. Time to get the scythe out and go after the wheat. And the baker's just kind of hanging out there going, anytime, guys. Take your time, no hurry. Just do it soon. Nice score, music-wise. Enjoying the music. Bakers would collect flour and water and bake it into bread. With more than just berries to eat, villager happiness would soon be on the rise. Bob took a moment of quiet contemplation to appreciate all that he had achieved. Having mastered construction and economy, Bob felt the overwhelming desire to head out in search of adventure. With precision timing, as if he'd been listening to the story unfold all this time, the hero Sir Gregory wandered into town. Submitting entirely to Bob's will, Sir Gregory possessed special abilities that would appear around his portrait in the bottom left of the screen. Iron Skin, Power Slam, Shield Bash, Taunt, and Decisive Victory. Many of Sir Gregory's abilities would become useful in combat when they could be targeted at enemies. Experimenting with Sir Gregory's first ability, Bob discovered that some abilities could be used at any
Ready
time.
to serve.
Although why you would want Iron Skin during peaceful times is beyond me. Imagine the weight of carrying that around while you did the grocery shopping.
What would you have me do?
I digress. Sir Gregory would head off over the bridge in search of the unknown, in the direction of the quest marker that had thoughtfully been added to the minimap.
Orders received.
Okay, Sir Gregory stumbled across a site that had recently seen battle. Several dead lay beside a ransacked wagon. Whoever the good people were, they'd put up a fight and paid the price. Perhaps there might be clues nearby, thought Bob.
By your leave.
And looks like we have some loot. A teeth necklace, a sword, plus 16 physical damage, and tower shield, 46 armor. So let's loot all. The teeth necklace led Bob to just one conclusion. Kobolds. A rustle in the bushes startled Bob. The scavenging party had come back for the last of the supplies. It was time to fight. Okay, let's get that iron skin up.
We shall engage!
And say hi to the kobolds. Let's see, power slam. Okay. Not too shabby, Sir Gregory.
They shall not pass!
I do believe we've leveled up. Bob was victorious. Sir Gregory had grown in power and could now level up. With Sir Gregory selected, Bob left-clicked on the bag icon on the character portrait wheel, or pressed C, to open the character sheet. First, Bob looted everything from the ground: roughed amethyst, agile tower shield, 46 armor plus 1 agility, and 3 iron ingots. And then Bob went to loot this box over here because loot, and gained 5 carrots, like you do. Bob pervades Sir Gregory's stats with great interest. Gaining a level had awarded Sir Gregory an ability point that could now be spent. If Bob wanted to dig deeper, hovering the mouse pointer over a stat icon would show a tooltip full of useful information. Strength determines attack rating for melee characters. Agile characters have a better chance of evading attacks and landing critical hits. Agility determines attack rating for ranged characters. Vitality determines the character's health points. Mind determines the character's power points and contributes to caster's attack rating. Well, let's see. Let's raise Sir Gregory's strength. And how do I equip Sir Gregory with the cool loot I just found? Pondered Bob. Soon he was to discover that pressing the bag icon on the top bar or pressing I would open the master inventory. Dragging items from the master inventory onto Sir Gregory's character sheet, Bob gave his hero some new gear. Right-clicking on a piece of gear in the master inventory would achieve the same result. Let's see, 16 physical damage versus 8. So we'll right-click on that. What do we have here? 46 armor. Let's give him the 46 plus 1 agility shield. And there it is. And I guess he can wear a teeth necklace if he so desires. Alright. With a bloodlust that required satiating and the need for rightful retribution, Bob led Sir Gregory up the hill in the hope of finding the kobold's main camp.
Double time!
Okay. Let's zoom out a little bit. Aha! Perhaps. Aha ha ha ha!
For honor!
Kobolds! Iron skin. Let's try shield bash. Interesting, a stun.
To victory! And so to battle!
Quite a decent stun. Having killed the last of the kobolds, it became apparent that the story was positively willing Bob to enter the mine. Only heroes could enter dungeons, so Bob selected Sir Gregory and right-clicked on the mine entrance right after he looted everything. So we've got some plate pauldrons here, a dagger usable by the fisher. This is one of those things I said that you could like pass down to your villagers. Any more loot? Oh, there is a box. And we shall slay that mightily. Iron ore. Let's open up Sir Gregory's inventory. Give him some plate pauldrons. And then we'll head into the mine.
Standing ready! Ready for battle!
I know we can do this somehow. Can't enter the mine when monsters are nearby. Oh, really? What monsters are nearby? I wonder if we may have found
march!
a bit of a bug. Well, I would say that
standing firm.
We have, unless there's something I'm not catching. Well, let's look up the
Tis an
hill.
honor.
Not sure, but we did gain another level. Alright, well, let's head back over here. We'll give Sir Gregory here, how about a point of vitality? Well, I think... Oh, or was that
You
it?
called.
Did I need to click continue? Yes. Can't take me anywhere. Okay, enter the Cobalt Mine. Yes, we go. In the darkness of the mine, Bob's sense of peril grew considerably. It wasn't just scavenging kobolds that lived here. Something far more sinister lay ahead. Bob swallowed his fear and pressed on.
As you wish.
Okay. Here's door. Door is locked. A locked door meant one of two things. Either a key was required or a lever was nearby. In this case, it was most definitely a key that would be needed. Hello there!
Onward.
Do our iron skin, and then let's do this one. The power attack.
Who wants some?
I think they all do, Sir Gregory, so let's spread it around. Okay. And for loot, we got an elk helm, staunch chainmail leggings, 16 armor plus 1 strength, nice. Rough jade, and some iron ingots. Always happy to add more gear. Chainmail pants and an elk helm. I really wish. I don't know if they're going to add, like, the models to the characters or not, but that would be really cool. Okay, plate chest. And as you can see there, usable by City Watch means that, like, the peasants you train up to be your militia can use this stuff too. So, plate chest. There we go. And a chest with a key. Imagine that. Greater health potions and power potions, and we shall loot all. These potions should come in useful.
Once.
Okay, and let's crack the gate. The gate is
Come
cracked.
to daddy.
Okay, and power slam again it is.
For honor and glory.
Okay, and kobolds down. Another tower shield, but really no better than what we have. Some other things we could try and break for 5 gold.
With honor.
And let's follow the mine tracks. Oh, there's a big fella. In the heart of the mine stood Nugzurg, the Overseer. The monstrous ogre was far more powerful than anything Bob had faced before. Steadying his nerves, Bob prepared to fight for Sir Gregory's life.
Today,
Whoa,
you
okay.
die horribly.
Okay, let's do one of those power potions and a power slam. And then let's give him a bit of a shield bash. And then let's
Forward.
smack him down. Have another potion. Cooldowns aren't done yet. But we could use iron skin again.
Attack.
Although Nugzurg is in quite a bit of trouble. And down. Loot all. With Nugzurg defeated, Bob's training was complete. Armed with the skills he had learned, Bob was well equipped to hit escape, exit back to the main menu, and start a new campaign game. Well, we could do that. Or we could loot all and see what's in this chest. Which is a wrench, usable by engineer, plus 10 physical damage. Loot all. Well, folks, this is Folktale, and there is considerably more in the economic building, city building world, and I'm going to imagine there's quite a bit more in the Heroes and ARPG side as well. I've seen some of it. It's pretty cool. Overall, I still think this is a game with an immense amount of promise. As I said before, though, it is still in early access and being made by a company called Games Foundry. You can find it on Steam if you're interested in it. And if you're really interested in it and you want to see more, let me know, and I'll see about trying to squeeze in some more videos. For now, though, I would like to say thank you for joining me here in Folktale, and also that I have a Twitter link in the description of the video and on my channel main page. If you're on mobile, it'll be on my channel about page. Also, if you look in the upper right hand corner, you will see a small letter I with a white circle around it. These are cards and links to other videos that I've made. I would like to thank you for watching. I hope you found the video informative and maybe just a little entertaining. I would like to invite you to subscribe and ask you to please take care.